Scrappin Rabbit here, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. In today's video, we're going to be making a winter card featuring a 7 Kids Craft Store stamp set with some distress inks and some Copic colorings. Let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my little snowman image onto some hammer mill 80-pound color cover copy, and I like to use the VersaFine ink. I'm going to stamp it a couple times just to get a really nice wet impression, and then I will be embossing it with some clear embossing powder. After heating up my heat tool for a few seconds, I'll go ahead and melt that powder down, making sure that I have really good solid coverage. When I go to stamp, I like to stamp several images. It really does make everything go a lot faster to have those images ready to go. To color the snowman, I'm going to use the BV00 to kind of outline the shadowy areas. I'm thinking that I want to do blues and purples for this card, so I'm going to blend that out with the V000, and that gives me a nice, like a purpley pinkish kind of a blend. And then I have the B0000. I'm going to blend that out a little bit, and I really like the way that the color's starting to pop on this little snowman. So I'm going to use my C0 and then my C00 to just kind of give it a little bit more of a gray color as well, and to blend that out just a little bit. But I do like having that color in there because I'm thinking for the background at this point that I do want to do blues and purples, and just trying something new, experimenting with some different Copic colors. And I do like the way that the snowman turned out. I think that it turned out really cute with that little pop of color in his shadow layers. I usually have always done just grays and blues for snow, so it's a little fun twist to add a little bit of the blue violets with the little pinkish color in the V0000. So now I'm just going to add a little bit more of, blend that out just a little bit with the C00. And now it's time to go ahead and do his little cheeks. I'm going to use the RV10, and then I'll blend that out with the C00. For the little buttons, I'm going to use my tonal grays, and I'll do dark to light, going from the T7, blending that out with the T5, the T3, and the T1, just to kind of give a little variation in color there and having a lighter edge there on the little buttons. I'll go ahead and double up on that color with the T7, T5, T3, T1, giving it a whole second coat. And I think that he's really turning out just adorable. Now for his arms, the little branches there, I'm going to use the E44, the E43, and the E42. Really small area, but I do like to add that variation. I do like to color with 3 or 4 different color blends when I color up my images. So here are some images that I colored the last time for my last card that I made with the trees, and then I did color off camera the little bunnies and the little squirrel, and I just love these adorable little images in this stamp set. So now I'm going to cut out my panel using this Mama Elephant slim cuts, and I love that scalloped frame. I cut it out with some Bristol smooth cardstock, and that is going to be the background. I also colored a few front layers there because I decided that I was going to make an upright slim card, and that way I can have a little snowbank there at the bottom. So now to do the blending, I chose some new colors for me. I'm going to start out with the milled lavender, and just in the center of the layer I'll start adding some color. And then once I have enough of the milled lavender on there, I'm going to blend that out using the tumbled glass. I think that these two colors look really good next to each other, and it's hard to choose some of the blends, but I was going for the same colors that I used coloring my little snowman, and so I thought that these kind of matched with that. The milled lavender, the tumbled glass. And then for the third shade, it's going to be the shaded lilac. It's a little bit of a bluish purple in there. And I start off with a light touch, going for some lighter coverage, but I do like to give it a couple layers so that I really have some nice solid color for my backgrounds. Once I have the shaded lilac on there, then the dark blue is going to be the broken china. And so already I feel like I have a fun winter sky for my background. And now that I have those layered on there, I'm going to go ahead and add that second layer of color, blending it out so that there's no harsh lines in there and smoothing it out. The little mini distress inks are my favorite go-to these days for my card backgrounds, and I just love to play with them. And I'm excited about this new color combination that I played with. Going back in there with the tumbled glass, and one more layer of that milled lavender as well. So already you can see that it's a really cool little rainbow, winter rainbow effect there. And then just to blend it out a little bit more so that there doesn't look like there's separate lines, filling that in a little bit, just giving it a little bit more contrast. It takes a little time to build up the color, but it's always well worth it. I always find in the end I'm always so happy with how the backgrounds look. And the colors really just pop, and it makes an amazing little background for my card scene. Now that I have all the layers on there, I'm going to go ahead and splatter it with some water and then lift that color up using a paper towel. I also like to splatter with this acrylic white paint, this craft paint. I just water it down a little bit with a paintbrush, and then while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and put my trees down there so that they get some of the little snow splatter as well. So the acrylic paint works great for snow or stars depending upon the time of day you're doing your background. And so this is a daytime scene. Now I'm going to add those little layers using some liquid glue. I'm going to leave the top parts open just because I'm going to be tucking the little trees in the little snowbanks. And now that I have those glued down, I can go ahead and arrange all of my little colored images. And then there you can see the little snowbanks and then the little trees in the background. Before I finish my card, I'm going to add the sentiment because I do think that it's better to stamp the sentiment when your card is still flat. And so I chose the sentiment from the stamp set, and it says, "Bring on the snow." So I thought that that was cute. Using some of the same black VersaFine ink and the clear embossing powder, I'm going to go ahead and get that melted on there after I heat up my heat tool. Wiping off some of the anti-static powder, the powder tool that I use, that little cloth always comes in handy. Now I'm just going to arrange the little critters where I want them, and the little bunny's going to kind of be in the front, so I'm adding some double-sided foam tape. I did add a little piece of the cardstock to the back of the snowman's head so that it'll lay flat on that second snowbank layer and not bend backwards, since the cardstock that I used for those layers was 110 pounds, so it was a little bit thick on the bottom there. And I do like to add a little bit of wet glue to the double-sided adhesive just to secure it even more onto my cardstock. I'm going to add a little bit of shadows using my cool grays under the little snowman and the critters, and I think that that gives it a little bit of depth as well. And I'll just blend that out with the lightest C00 and then my blending pen as well. And that is all of the images, and so now I'm just going to use some liquid glue to adhere it to the front of my slimline card base. And for my card base, I'm using 110-pound cardstock. And to add some sparkle, I have these little iridescent sequins, and I like to glue my sequins down with my glitter glue. And for some extra sparkle, I love the Nouveau glitter drops in the White Blizzard, and I'm going to outline the snowbank layers to give it some extra glistening sparkle, and I love the way that that looks when it's finished and when it's dried. So that about completes my card. Adding that extra sparkle and the sequins, I think, gives it that extra touch. Thanks again, everyone, for stopping by my channel. I hope you liked my process video today. I hope you liked my finished card. Make sure that you leave me a comment if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. And again, I want to thank you for liking and subscribing. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye for now.